Oh geez, so another major Shonen Jump title is coming to an end and we're gonna talk about it. Black Clover's anime return has been the talk of the town for the last month or so, and we got a lot of major updates on top of the fact that its 10th anniversary has brought forth massive solidification from the big three Shonen Jump titles in the form of an epic tribute that you're not gonna want to miss out on. Boruto gets another major win in the form of an editor-in-chief from Shonen Jump talking about it in terms of, well, just how popular it really is. Dragon Ball Super's manga gets some unfortunate news regarding its return this year, as well as the voice actor of Goku in the English dub speaking on the future of the story, and the artist of the Dragon Ball Super manga Toyotaro speaking about its future and things that he would like to focus on when it does return. We got some Bleach anime updates for its upcoming finale. Demon Slayer is seeing incredible success beyond belief. My Hero Academia's creator speaks about his, yes people, you hear it right, new series, as well as an update from the cast of the anime on the impact that the recording of the finale has had on them. One Punch Man Season 3 gets a major update that some might call controversial, but we're definitely going to talk about it. And we got much more to cover in this exciting episode of ForneverWorld, the only news source that provides anything and everything anime and manga related, and we don't bore you. We get into it. Let's do it. I'll be right there if you need me. Just come here and believe it. It's just the way you see me. It's just the way you see me. And of course, before we continue, if you would hit that subscribe button and that bell, I'd greatly appreciate it. You get notified on upcoming videos, and yeah, I'll be able to tell you guys what's happening in the world of anime and manga. And if you want some good music, make sure to check out my latest song called Lois Lane, out on all streaming platforms right now. I think it's a pretty good tune. Okay people, so for starters, yes, the news is legit. Apparently, another major Shonen Jump title is nearing its end, and yeah, this is definitely something that is, I don't want to say a shocker, but it really once again brings me back to the thought of what the heck is Shonen Jump planning? What do they have in store for the future, considering the fact that 90% of their major titles have come to an end over the last few years, and another title that you would think, you would assume would be around for many years to come, considering the fact that they would ideally want some major heavy hitters to be around for the foreseeable future. But it looks like this story is nearing its end as it heads into its climax. And in case for some odd reason you're not familiar with this story, I'm talking about Sakamoto Days, a story about a retired assassin that essentially wants to live a life in peace and harmony with his family, but ultimately his past dealings continue to return to the present, and he has to deal with that in some crazy ways. But let's read. Shonen Jump ending yet another major series soon. Shueisha's weekly Shonen Jump magazine has been going through some major changes in the last year especially, and another one of its major franchises is going to be coming to an end soon. Shonen Jump has been on the cusp of a brand new era, as last year saw the end of two of its long-running franchises, with My Hero Academia and Jujutsu Kaisen both leaving the magazine. Then in 2025, another wave of major endings of long-running series came to an end, with both Mission Yozakura Family and Undead Unluck ending their runs one after another. It left Shonen Jump fans spinning. Many of the longer series within the magazine have ended their runs, and while there are still many juggernauts not slowing down anytime soon, like Eiichiro Oda's One Piece, literally one of the highest selling comics of all time, one of the highest selling pieces of literature of all time. Other hits that have become mainstays in the last few years are now reaching their end. Yuto Suzuki's Sakamoto Days will be entering its final battle with the next chapter of the series, which fans have sensed was coming for the past few months especially. Sakamoto Days will be entering its final battle with the next chapter of the series, but has yet to reveal exactly when it could be coming to an end. It wouldn't be surprising to see the manga wrap up its grand finale before the year ends. However, as the last few months of the series have completely destroyed the hidden world of assassins, the fight has now been taken to Sakamoto's front door, so fans have been assuming that the end will be coming sooner rather than later. Even Sakamoto himself died for a short while before being brought back to life thanks to Shin's quick things. It really has seemed like the manga had crossed the point of no return, and with the confirmation that the final battle is kicking off, it's now clearer than ever that the story really is going to be coming to its end. This final battle could last for quite a while, however, as there are still many characters in the mix that need to have their respective final battles. But with a few months or so left in the year, Sakamoto Days could end as early as 2025. If not, it'll end end in early 2026 the latest. What does this mean for Shonen Jump? Shonen Jump had been propping up Sakamoto Days and Blue Box as some of the pillars of their next generation of hits following many of the end of 2010's franchises, but it already seems like these two series have been rounding up for their grand finales as well. This might also seem like Shonen Jump is changing its approach to its franchises also. Rather than keeping them going in the magazine for as long as they possibly can, it's starting to seem more like the magazine is instead allowing these series to reach their end in less than 5 years. Which, just to throw in there, that's usually outside of like manga, majority of things usually have roughly about a 5-year span. If it goes beyond that, it's majorly due to the fact of its success. So the fact that a lot of these series, even the most notable and very highly successful ones like My Hero and Jujutsu Kaisen ending recently, it's definitely something to question of what Shonen Jump is doing. But let's continue, because while Sakamoto Days has announced its final battle, it also seems like Blue Box is gearing up for its own ending too, as its romance settles into place. As the magazine ships more for this new era, it also seems like it's in favor of creators getting to tell the best stories possible rather than stretching them out for the sake of popularity. If that's the case, it's likely going to be better for these creators' health too. I think the way that Shonen Jump is going in terms of for the creatives is the best possible situation, in terms of you want to allow these creators to tell their stories with, you know, ultimately being able to leave Shonen Jump and be able to do other things. But that does beg to question what Shonen Jump has planned for the future, considering the fact that, again, Sakamoto Days is one of its more longer running stories at this particular point in the magazine. And while, yeah, there are other series that are starting to rise up like Kagurabachi or Ichi the Witch, ultimately that might be, I guess, some of the play as to why Shonen Jump is going this route. But regardless of what, this is definitely another big and major story of Shonen Jump yet again, ending another major title in the publication. But I guess we gotta wait and see what's to happen. Regardless of what, yeah, another Jump title is nearing its end. Let me know what you guys think about this. Moving forward, now over the last month or so, there has been a lot of different news regarding Black Clover. In particular, in case you missed it, it was announced about roughly a month or so ago back now that Black Clover's anime would be returning, and it was a major success of an announcement. As of the recording of this video right now, the trailer alone has almost 4 million views on the Crunchyroll YouTube channel, which, to put that into perspective, that is such a huge announcement that it is returning that it rivals the views that Crunchyroll mainly gets, like big wins and big views on like fights and stuff like that. But just an announcement of Black Clover's anime returning was so enormous that it caused quite a stir. However, some other aspects involved in this thing that needs to be discussed, because in the initial trailer, Black Clover had a certain date that was announced for its return, but since then has been kind of removed, and essentially a lot of people were thinking, well, maybe they got ahead of themselves in terms of like the announcement. So it could be a couple of different aspects. It could be that it is going to be returning on said year, shall I say, and simply they just want to keep it under wraps for now. Could also be that production is going to extend because there are other aspects that are involved in this whole conglomerate, because they are attached to Studio Pierrot, the same studio that handles the Bleach anime, the Boruto anime. Of course, they've done Naruto. Like, they're a very, very big studio, and with other happenings happening with the other franchises, it could possibly be that Black Clover gets a little bit delayed outside of 2026. And by delayed, more so I mean that it maybe is planned for 2026, but because of everything that they have going on, it might slide into 2027, the latest, I'm gonna say. But yeah, the initial year that they had attached to it has since been recanted, and we just gotta wait and see what happens. But with Black Clover's 10th anniversary coming, it seems as though they're finally bringing forth a lot of really, really awesome stuff. They announced the big 10th anniversary with, of course, all of the authors from the past that seemingly have love for Black Clover doing tributes to it. Of course, you got the art piece that Yuki Tabata himself did of all the characters from the Black Clover story for the 10th anniversary. And if you compare it to like the previous, I think it was the 5-year anniversary, it's interesting to see how Yuki Tabata included so much more characters to this piece, where the initial one of like the 5-year anniversary, I think it was just Asta, Noelle, and Yuno. But now, and I'm going to attribute this aspect to the fact that Tabata has just a lot more time to do things because he's no longer in Weekly Shonen Jump and has since moved over to Jump Giga. That is a quarterly release. It went from 3 characters to like there's a lot of characters on there. So Tabata having the luxury to be able to create and do the things things that he wants to do is so much of a win. It always felt great to have that new Black Clover chapter every week. No questions. It was really just a fantastic thing for the fans and for everybody that loved Black Clover. But in terms for the creator, it was a big win for him moving over. He's able to create at his own luxury, at his own pace, and at the same time bring forth a lot more of a higher quality and put a lot more into these things, because this piece looks incredible. But aside from that, we also got something that I feel is monumental for the series, for the franchise, for Yuki Tabata, everything Black Clover involved, because as it was announced that a lot of legendary creators were going to be doing tributes for the Black Clover story in terms of doing like art of the characters and whatnot, we already got 3 of them, and it's just major because these 3 tributes were from the big 3 mangaka, the big 3 manga authors. If you don't know who the big 3 were, legendary time and era in anime and manga history, that's essentially Naruto, Masashi Kishimoto, One Piece, Eiichiro Oda, and Tite Kubo, Bleach. And yeah, these 3 already released their tributes to Black Clover in the form of art pieces. For starters, we got One Piece's Eiichiro Oda. He did the tribute in form of a drawing of Asta, and honestly, I think it looks epic. I think people are misunderstanding what Eiichiro Oda does, because facially it resembles very heavily like a One Piece character, like a Luffy. But if you look historically, that has always been kind of a trait that Eiichiro Oda does when he does tributes of different things. If you go back, like there was that magazine cover of Goku and Luffy that he drew, and people said, well, why does Goku's facial structure look similar to Luffy? And that's just something of what Oda does. In my opinion, it's kind of his way of not only doing a tribute, but also doing his own version of a crossover, so to speak. It's like, hey, look at something that looks like my character, but of course with the tribute and the beauty of this other world that I'm drawing in. So I think that it looks awesome. The drip is epic, and yeah, shout outs to Oda for doing this. Like, this is a big win, and again, a big stamp and showcasing of how much he really rocks with and respects Black Clover and Yuki Tabata. Then we have another one that I thought was very interesting as well, from Masashi Kishimoto, creator of Naruto. You have Asta, and then you got 4 Naruto clones trying to lift Asta's sword. So not only do we have a tribute, not only do we have a crossover as well, because, you know, Asta Naruto, but then also you have a little story going on that kind of is going to throw all of the power scalers in a disarray and a frenzy, but more so just showcasing respect to Asta, because the Asta that he drew is, it seems like early Black Clover Asta, not the one that came back and was, you know, really brawlic and all that stuff. And I think that it's really awesome that Kishimoto took the time to not only, of course, give a tribute, but even add a little bit of a story there. And in general, I've always thought and I've always wanted to see some type of crossover between the 2 characters, because yeah, it's pretty freaking awesome and they seem to be similar in nature. And then lastly, we got Tite Kubo's Bleach. He did a tribute in the form of a drawing of Zora, and in my opinion, it kind of reminds me of Asnod from the 1,000-Year Blood War in terms of just that more of aesthetic wise. It looks really awesome in my opinion, and it's interesting that Kubo chose that character in particular. Also the color scheme, having like the green for Zora and whatnot. I think that Kubo did a fantastic job. All 3 of them look great, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of the other tributes that we got from the other authors in Weekly Shonen Jump, or just in general authors that are going to be paying tribute to Black Clover. The big 3 basically stamping this legacy that is Black Clover. And before we continue, if you would hit that subscribe button and that bell, I'd greatly appreciate it. Just saying. Then also, shortly after the release of the trailer confirming that Black Clover was returning, we did get a message from Yuki Tabata himself talking about Black Clover and kind of, you know, his thoughts on its return. Yuki Tabata's message for Black Clover: the production of the long-awaited new anime season of Black Clover has been confirmed. I am beyond ecstatic going into this new anime season after the super passionate movie that came out. That was in 2023. That was a very big deal. Thanks to all of you, Black Clover is celebrating its 10th anniversary this year. I definitely plan to keep this hype going. I want fans from Japan and all around the world to enjoy the powered up anime that is going to be brought to you by the most awesome anime production staff, aka Studio Pierrot. Thank you so much for supporting Black Clover, Yuki Tabata. And yeah, it seems as though Tabata's just grateful and excited that things is finally taking off for the Black Clover anime. It has been a while. The anime went off air quite some time time ago. We did have the film a couple years back, but yeah, when this thing returns, considering the reception off of a one trailer, it had like, I think 2 million views in one day, and since in a few weeks it has already like almost 4 million views. People are waiting for this, people are excited about this, and this is going to be huge. Moving forward, Boruto fans, I do got some pretty awesome news for y'all. Everybody always be trying to sleep on Boruto. Let's keep it real, let's be honest here. They be trying to play our guy, they be trying to play our series, they be trying to play with us, but time and time again they get proven wrong. Whether it be a volume selling better than the last as it continues to grow, whether it be that the franchise in general just has changed dramatically the reception of the story from pre-time skip till now. Not only did the character Boruto have an insane glow up, the series, the perception of it and all around has went up, but even more so the popularity, because despite the fact that the volume sales, as we always know, yes, Naruto sold crazy and Boruto doesn't sell quite like Naruto, ultimately Boruto, at the very least in the digital frontier, is really popular because the editor-in-chief of Shonen Jump's Manga Plus, essentially, like, you know, he's one of the higher ups over there that control the whole situation. He basically had to come out and say that Boruto is among the top most popular manga currently, alongside One Piece. In an interview, he said, "It's not conclusive yet, but looking at the rankings, both One Piece and Boruto are remained popular," which is really huge and a testament to, you can't believe the nonsense and the slander that people throw on somebody or a franchise or an author or whatever the case may be, because while, you know, a lot of the times there's always been slander towards Boruto, ultimately time and time again Boruto has proven the naysayers wrong. Like, let's not forget that it was just fairly recent that it was announced that Boruto was the #2 most searched time skip online behind One Piece. Like, that is a very big deal because One Piece is, you know, one of the biggest selling of all time. So for that amount of interest to be surrounding Boruto, it's just a demonstration of the hate be cap. Let's just keep it all the way real. Let's say what it is. The hate be cap. People be going off of like, yo, I saw like a handful of episodes of pre-time skip and I didn't like it because the anime, etc. Like, forget all that nonsense. Boruto manga, you want to ever get into Boruto, I'm gonna tell you right now, go straight into the manga. And if you've already seen the Boruto Naruto the movie stuff, you can skip like the first 8 or 9 chapters of the Boruto manga and just jump straight there. Like, it's that simple. And the good news about Boruto's success doesn't stop there, because apparently TV Tokyo came out and admitted that Boruto is more profitable for them than Bleach and Black Clover. Not only did we have that list that came out a while back, but also they came out with a press release saying this. Next, I would like to discuss the global expansion of all of our content, including anime. While our anime business already has a global footprint, our goal is to further strengthen the overseas profitability of titles beyond Naruto and Boruto, such as Bleach, Gintama, and Black Clover, and raise them to the same level as Naruto. Which basically says that, yo, Naruto and Boruto are like really huge overseas. We're trying to get some of the other ones to reach that level as well. So while some people online have this and that to say, ultimately the people behind the scenes all really know what's going on and all really understand just the value, because interest is definitely one thing, right? Like, there's clearly interest for Boruto, but then when you get that extra layer of like the editor-in-chief coming out and saying this, TV Tokyo coming out and saying that, it's clearly also valued. Like, there's a balance of both for Boruto as a story. Like, it has interest and it's valued very highly. So expect whenever we get that first trailer for Two Blue Vortex's anime, or if they're gonna do a film beforehand, personally, my opinion, it should be a film first, because that would just get everyone going crazy and really excited for Two Blue Vortex. They could even do a little montage in the beginning to explain what's happened in Boruto up until that point, and boom, you have a very big film that could lead into launching the second half, because it would almost be perfect, if I'm being honest. If you think about it, the first Boruto story was kind of launched with, you know, awareness or whatnot, with having that Boruto Naruto the movie lead up. So if you did that for the first part, it would make sense, and it would really help even further to change the narrative amongst naysayers in showcasing that no, Boruto is really good. But yeah, that's some pretty awesome stuff for Boruto. Let me know what you guys think. Moving forward, we got a lot of news in the world of Dragon Ball Super, from Toyotaro, the artist of Dragon Ball Super, from the voice actor of Goku English dub. Like, we just manga's got a lot, so I'm just gonna tackle it all one by one. Let's get started. For starters, the artist of Dragon Ball Super, Toyotaro, said that he wants to focus on Goten more. Toyotaro says he didn't depict Goten well during the Dragon Ball Super superhero prelude chapters and would like to do more with him, because remember, we had not only those preludes, but we also had a one-shot. Seems as though he has some intentions on moving forward with that character, and to be honest with you, I really agree with that. Goten has kind of always been some character that has max potential, but between the fact that initially when it started he looked straight up like Goku, and ultimately moving forward there wasn't as much focus on Goten, and even in these chapters of like the hero stuff, it was mainly just, you know, kind of tame, getting little glimpses into the character. I agree that there is potential there, and if we're talking about not just like, you know, the superhero prelude stuff and things like that, like the big pieces, when we get back to the Black Frieza stuff, when we get to those aspects, utilizing Goten, giving him some power-ups of sorts, because you know they're gonna do that if he's gonna really give a good try for Goten, he's gonna get stronger. Yes, I want to see it. Then we got a couple of other pieces regarding Toyotaro stating about the future of Dragon Ball Super's manga. He said, on the continuation of Dragon Ball Super, it wouldn't be easy, but not impossible either. Back then, he would write the story and Toriyama sensei would approve it. Sometimes he would send him ideas and he would make suggestions. Part of the story also came from him, but it's not up to him, essentially. He says, I don't decide. Ask Shueisha or Toei, who are in charge of Akira Toriyama's property. So essentially, he's like, yo, dog, if it was up to me, Dragon Ball Super already be back, but then they're not, clearly they're not allowing homie to continue on with the higher ups, because there's other behind the scenes stuff that we do not need to talk about, because it's really none of our business. Although it's definitely going to be very interesting whenever it finally does return, because he's pretty much telling y'all that, yo, Toriyama really had a heavy hand in these things. So if Toriyama's not involved and it's all on Toyotaro, either they're gonna have to put somebody else alongside him, which would be very insane. Like, there's so many possibilities of what they could do. Or if it's strictly Toyotaro doing things, we could see a change tonally or in general with Dragon Ball moving forward. But again, time will tell. Then we got word from Dragon Ball Super's Goku, aka the voice actor behind English dub Goku, Sean Schemmel. He said, as of the writing of this article, the future of Dragon Ball Super's anime remains a mystery. Following the recent conclusion of Dragon Ball Daima, Goku, Vegeta, and the other Z fighters remain in limbo despite having two major manga arcs to bring to the screen. Shonen fans are waiting for the Moro arc and Granola the Survivor to be adapted, which of course would give voice actor Sean Schemmel, voice of Goku, more work on his plate. In a recent talk, Schemmel talked about his approach to the manga and some fears he has when it comes to Super's TV comeback. He said, I think the story of Super is just fantastic with what I know of Moro, Granola, and Frieza Black. I know a little bit, right? I'm ready. Here's my fear. Look, I go hard, I go high, I go loud as far as I can. I don't know how much further I can go, and I don't know where they're gonna go with that animation. Chris and I thought about whether Goku and Vegeta are being groomed to be the new gods of creation and destruction with Whis and Beerus, and it seems like they're hinting at that. We thought about that in 2018. The English voice of Goku assured fans that he wasn't privy to any insider information when it comes to Dragon Ball's anime comeback following the end of Daima. I'm really excited to finish the series someday. I honestly don't know anything, and if I did, I would say, I know, but I can't tell you. You will find out before me. Here's how it'll happen. Toei will make a big announcement, somebody will get my Instagram and say, hey, Super is coming back. I would love to know first, but they don't trust that I won't tell you. Schemmel also talked about the fact that he does not read the manga in advance, saving himself from some of the biggest spoilers of the source material. Here's why I don't read the manga. I'm playing Goku, and he doesn't see the future. You send the original Japanese manga to 5 different translators, then you get 5 different translations that all fundamentally mean the same thing. I get worried about if I read ahead in the manga, and that manga is translated in English. I'll get married to that dialogue, and then when I gotta go record it, I'll start getting insecure. I get too into it. So basically, kind of on the same line of, you know, the artist Toyotaro, he's basically saying, yo dog, I don't really know nothing, but I would love for it to return. I'm ready to get back to work. Then we had very recent Victory Uchida, which is the Dragon Ball Super manga editor, basically confirm that Dragon Ball Super's manga won't be returning in 2025, and he basically asked fans to be patient. At this point, it really is, I'm gonna say, definitely disappointing for Dragon Ball fans. Like, sure, there are people that, you know, they have their gripes or whatever with Dragon Ball Super, and at the very least, I will throw in that, yo, we just had Daima, which was a very beautiful anime. You know, the English dub came out as well and all that stuff, so there was some Dragon Ball, 20 episodes, so you can't really completely be like, oh man, it's been a drought for Dragon Ball. But as far as wanting to continue on with Dragon Ball Super. Whenever the behind the scenes things do get settled, I'm sure it's going to return in a major way, and I'm sure they probably already have multiple plans on how to do this thing when it does come back. And I have no doubt in my mind that they will return in some form, whether it be that the Super manga returns, whether they start a whole new Dragon Ball series in general, whatever the case may be, they are going to do that, because this article came out recently that said Dragon Ball can't be canceled because it could seriously hurt Japan's economy. The franchise is worth over $23 billion and supports thousands of jobs across anime, gaming, and merchandise. So yeah, like essentially there's no canceling Dragon Ball. Sure, they take breaks in between releases, but right now they're making money, they're eating off of the Daima situation, and ultimately there's just no way that Dragon Ball will ever go away completely unless something major happened that is unforeseen. Like, Dragon Ball will return, and again, us fans, we just gotta wait and be patient. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this whole situation with Dragon Ball Super. Do you think that it'll return in 2026? And how are you feeling about the Dragon Ball franchise right now as it stands, considering the last thing we did get was the Daima anime, and for better or worse, at the very least, we got more Dragon Ball. And before we continue, make sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell. Moving forward, we got some updates regarding the Bleach anime. It's been over the last month or so, some updates stemming back from an expo where it was announced that the Bleach anime will not be returning in this year. More than likely, we're looking at 2026, because Kubo said, "I'm sure many of our fans have been wondering, will it be broadcast this year? But I'm sorry to say that it has been postponed until next year. Please wait just a little longer until next year. I believe we will be able to complete it as a great work." He also said that his supervision of the fourth part will be equal to his supervision of all the parts combined. This part will greatly expand the story, so he needs to oversee it closely, which that is major, because that showcases, you think about it, right? How many episodes Bleach Thousand Year Blood War has been thus far, right? There's been, what, 3 parts? We're waiting for the 4th and final part. So if Kubo has been involved in all 3 of those, and he's been heavily involved with this last part, that means that there's probably like 0 room for hiccups. Like, the 4th part is probably going to be the most glorious thing that we've ever seen, at the very least as Bleach fans, because having the original creator involved is extremely crucial to making an anime the best it could possibly be. Like, having the confirmation of Kubo's involvement for this final part being this relevant, being this much so, it's really just a good thing. Like, honestly, it just showcases that the final part of the Bleach Thousand Year Blood War is probably going to live up to expectations and then some, because each and every part of the Thousand Year Blood War has lived up to expectations and then some. This one is just going to break past its limits and just be probably the greatest thing ever. And it seems as though they really haven't been trying to hide too much of Ichigo's final form, because we had, well, even going back to like Jump Force when it first premiered, which is kind of crazy that it's been out for that long. But of course, then, you know, you had the mobile games. But I want to say the latest video game for the consoles had Ichigo's final form as DLC a while back, and now in the poster for Bleach 2026, you know, Thousand Year Blood War Final Core, you have Ichigo's final form yet again, his final Bankai form. And yeah, I mean, I guess they understand that, yo, dog, this has been out for quite some time. Bleach manga wrapped up a while ago. Let's showcase what we got. Moving forward, this was a story that I definitely want to talk about, or a couple of different stories regarding Demon Slayer, because despite the fact that, yes, Demon Slayer's manga has been over for quite some time, ultimately, y'all know the TV anime has been running for a while, and now we're on the cusp of the 3 final movies that will fully adapt the remainder of the Demon Slayer story, one of which already has been released in Japan, because Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba's Infinity Castle Part 1, Akaza Returns, has exceeded 17.6 billion yen in earnings in 17 days in Japanese theaters. To put that into perspective, it's made in a little over 2 weeks $120 million. And I want to say it's already on pace to surpassing what the original Demon Slayer movie did. If you don't know, the original Demon Slayer movie, if I'm not mistaken, is literally the most successful film from Japan ever. Not just anime, it is the most successful film with like $500 million or something like that. So if this is on par with that or headed towards that, this is huge. And yeah, this is major for Demon Slayer. I mean, again, I know some people have been turned off by it because, yeah, it's been running for a long time now, and some people have lost interest, but I'm very much so excited to see this film. And then another piece of news, and I hope that moving forward from this story, things have changed, because if y'all don't know, when the original Demon Slayer film came out a while back, the author Koyoharu Gotoge wasn't compensated properly, because despite the fact that that movie did over $500 million in revenue, the original creator of Demon Slayer, the author Koyoharu Gotoge, was only paid about $19,000, which that's disgusting. So I just bring up this report to note that hopefully either renegotiations happened, or in general, like, the right thing will be done regarding, properly compensate Koyoharu Gotoge. You made $500 million. Y'all could throw some big bucks towards Koyoharu Gotoge. I'm just saying. But yeah, just to note, despite the fact that Demon Slayer has been going on for a while, ultimately it's still very successful, and it seems as though that new movie is really ripping it up at the box office, even though it's only in Japan right now. Moving forward, we got some big news from the creator of My Hero Academia. It seems as though while My Hero Academia is coming to an end, in case you don't know, the manga already ended quite some time ago, but there are a couple of aspects that are still missing. For starters, in the West, the final volume of My Hero Academia with the final chapters has yet to release, although for those that are extremely interested, apparently the final volume of the manga comes to the West in October, while the anime's final season begins airing in October. So before they actually put the, anime version of the finale of My Hero Academia, we will be privy to the manga version, the blueprint essentially of My Hero Academia's finale, in the form of the final volume being available in the West. Now, whether or not they will adapt everything in totality with the anime finale, that remains to be seen, but just wanted to throw that in there. And yeah, while My Hero Academia is wrapping itself up in many different aspects, it seems as though the creator of My Hero Academia is already looking towards the future in the form of what his next series is going to be like. My Hero Academia creator says his new series will do what his hit manga never could. My Hero Academia creator Kohei Horikoshi has finally gotten some rest following the big ending of his hit series last year, and it turns out he's already working on his next big series. While details are sparse, Horikoshi has confirmed he's hard at work on a new series which will do something My Hero never could. Horikoshi was a relative newcomer when My Hero took off, having been in the manga industry for a little while, but not having a real hit to his name. 10 years on, however, and Horikoshi is one of the most well-known mangaka in the entire world, and his next project is highly anticipated by fans of My Hero Academia. In an interview that was posted to Reddit and translated, Horikoshi spoke about his plans for his next story. When asked about working on a new series, he answered thusly: "Yes, I'm already in the concept stage. Luckily, there is something I want to do that I couldn't with My Hero, so I'm hoping to channel that feeling into this. When I announce my next series, I hope it will be in Weekly Shonen Jump. So I'm working on the concept now, thinking about how I want to challenge myself to jump one more time." And before we continue, I gotta throw in there that him saying that he wants to do this weekly, that is enormous, and I am very surprised that he's saying that, because, well, in case you don't know or you missed out on the segment earlier in this video, yeah, a life of a mangaka is very strenuous. So for a lot of them, mostly when they leave Shonen Jump, they rarely come back to do weekly stuff, or they just kind of, go a different direction. I mean, the creator of Black Clover, look, he left Weekly Shonen Jump and started doing things in a quarterly magazine, because again, it's a lot to carry. So the fact that he's talking about returning weekly, I'm curious what his plans are. I'm curious what roadmap he has laid out on how to get this done. Is he going to try to go the Kishimoto route, when Kishimoto returned with Samurai 8 and had a co-creator with him, an artist, while he did the story? Or is he going to do it vice versa? Like, there's a lot of different scenarios, but definitely this is very interesting that he's already announced that he is in the concept stages. Massive respect and props that he still has that level of dedication, because yeah, a lot of these authors, they go through it. Horikoshi previously stated he would start working on a new manga as soon as possible, and it seems he wasn't kidding around. Admittedly, the concept stage isn't very far along in the development process, but it shows that Horikoshi isn't content to rest on his laurels for even a moment before jumping back into the game. It's interesting that Horikoshi wants to return to Shonen Jump, as the weekly grind was proving difficult for him by the end of My Hero Academia. The fact he wants his new series in Weekly Shonen Jump is somewhat revealing, as well as it indicates he's going to be writing another shonen series. Many fans noted that throughout the later chapters of My Hero, Horikoshi had a preference for horrific imagery, and have speculated that a horror manga might be what's next for him. Horikoshi himself has not adjusted the genre of his next work, but the fact that he wants to do what he couldn't with My Hero suggests it will be different. And I'm gonna be honest, one of the big things is that, yes, going to Weekly Shonen Jump does give a lot more visibility. So that's an aspect of him doing this thing weekly and kind of going for that direction. It's probably going to give a bit of an edge and give a bit more of a boost in terms of the possibilities of it being a mega hit. Because sure, there's that once in a million Attack on Titan in a random magazine, Besatsu magazine, blowing up or whatnot, but if you want your best possible chance at winning, at the very least in this arena, you have to put in the work on a very consistent basis, and Weekly Shonen Jump is putting yourself in the best possible position to win. Personally, I don't know if I want a horror manga in Weekly Shonen Jump. That just kind of sounds strange, a shonen horror series. I mean, there's possibilities for it, and I remember a story like Iron Knight was kind of like a horror shonen battle series, but I guess only time will tell. And I mean, he's a legendary creator that's done immense stuff. If anybody can get it done and get another win in Weekly Shonen Jump, Horikoshi is one of those guys. Then while we're on the topic of My Hero Academia, this one kind of is well, very interesting, exciting, and yeah, because revealed during Anime Expo 2025, the cast described studio sessions as chaotic and draining, with 10 to 20 people shouting in unison, essentially multiple people doing the same thing at the same time, screaming and shouting. Daki Yamashita, the voice of Deku, said the actors get into it so deep they almost pass out. And basically, yeah, like they're going so hardcore for this finale that people is like nearing the verge of passing out while trying to get things done. And that's just more of a testament to the dedication these people have. That's more of a testament to how much quality we're in store for the finale. I just really hope that they make sure to do everything to the best of their capability, and that the My Hero Academia anime is as faithful as possible to the manga. If Deku gets his props, that would be fantastic. I would love it. I'm sure all the fans would love it, but for the most part, just adapt what's in 431. But we'll see. Moving forward, One Punch Man fans, this one right here is going to be very, very interesting, because in case you don't know, season 3 of One Punch Man is scheduled to be coming to Crunchyroll October 2025, with the continuation of JC Staff, the second studio that's been handling One Punch Man, continuing on with producing this whole thing. But apparently, word has circulated that One Punch Man will have a mesmerizing storyline completely unique to the anime, says the anime creator. One Punch Man Season 3, set to release October 2025, will feature a storyline that includes elements unique to the anime, diverging from a strict adaptation of the manga. And before we even continue, that's kind of crazy, because essentially there's going to be 3 different versions of this thing, because you have the web comic that came out a while back that was originally just One by himself. Then you had the readaptation with One and Yusuke Murata working together. And then now you're going to have essentially the anime adaptation of this stuff that is going to also have unique elements and unique, anime only stuff as well. I'm going to be honest, I don't care what anybody has to say. I am even more so excited about this. I love One Punch Man. I've said it a million times. I think if One Punch Man came out in the early 2000s or any of that nature, we'd get weekly episodes of One Punch Man, because the story is so rich, the characters, the cast is so huge, and there's so much that can be done with this thing that, yeah, anytime there's new One Punch Man stuff, as long as it's good, I'm here for it. And I truly believe that this season, for better or worse, is going to be really entertaining, really exciting, and something to look forward to and enjoy. So big ups to One Punch Man. Can't wait for season 3. I'm sure One and the entire crew are working tirelessly to bring forth greatness. Then a couple of other pieces of stories that were just kind of picks of mine that I just wanted to very briefly touch upon. Ichi the Witch by Osamu Nishi and Shiro Uzaki has reached 700,000 copies in circulation with 4 volumes. Essentially, it's right there neck and neck with Kagurabachi. Like, I think Kagurabachi had like 1 million at 4 volumes. This is at 700,000, so it's neck and neck with it. Shout outs to Ichi the Witch. Again, this is why I think they're allowing for a lot of these titles to come to an end, because they're already putting and pushing the next generation, which 2 of being Kagurabachi and Ichi the Witch. And lastly, something that I thought was interesting. Apparently, according to the CEO of IMAX, anime makes up 40% of global revenue. So yeah, you can expect way more anime to be hitting theaters, which they've kind of already headed in that direction. If you just think back to like all of those little Demon Slayer drops and the re-releases of movies that they've been putting in theaters, if it's making 40% of revenue, probably that other 60% is random films and, the Supermans and Spider-Mans and stuff like that, or whatever we've been having lately. Like, that's probably what's making the rest of it. But anime continues to grow, thrive, and it's showcasing levels of success that has never been seen before globally. But that's all I have for this one. I'm Tim. As always, people, have an awesome day. Peace in. It's just the way you see me,